Welcome to the 20 best restaurants in Los Angeles. So, these are all places JP and I have gone to over the years. We lived in Anaheim together for almost 10 years. He was born and raised there, has lived there his whole life. So, we have quite a bit of experience of dining around LA. In our free time, really, our favorite activity was just to drive up to LA, explore different neighborhoods and areas, and do sightseeing and go to new restaurants. So we have a lot of experience from it. One thing I want to say right off the bat is I do have posts about best restaurants in some other areas. So I have Westwood, which is where UCLA is, Beverly Hills, Hollywood, Fairfax District. That's where like the Farmers Market, the Grove, CBS Television City, all of that's Fairfax. And then Glendale and Burbank. So anything that's only like a place that's only in those is going to be in all of these posts. If they don't fall into those cities or neighborhoods, then they'll be in this post. So if you need more ideas or you're looking for something specific, be sure to check out all of these as well. They all have like 5 to 10 in each of them. This one's more of like a catch-all of everything that's not these. So this one's a little bit longer. Also, I will add that these aren't really in any particular order because there's so many different cuisines and atmospheres and things that they're not really comparable. So first up, we have Don Antonio's. If you've ever watched The Hills, this is where Heidi and Spencer go to all the time. They still go here. Their chimichanga is fantastic, and so are their flautas. Something that I've been coming across lately is places will say that on their menu, because flautas and taquitos are two different things. Flautas is a flour tortilla rolled up. Taquito is like corn tortilla, hard shell. Flautas are soft. And I keep seeing places use them interchangeably. When I want flautas, I want flautas. I can't eat the hard crunchy. I don't like it. I do not want a taquito. When I order a flauta, I want a flauta, and these are flautas. So Don Antonio's is actually a really great place. Like it's not just like hyped up for like a TV show. It's actually really good. Next up is The Nice Guy. This is near the Beverly Center, and there's been a lot of celebrity sightings here. You're actually not allowed to take photos inside unless you're like taking a little photo of like your food or something, because we ask them. But basically, so people can dine privately without, being recorded and whatever. So and we also went here because it was like super late at night. It was like after midnight. I think it was JP's birthday. And so we were trying to figure out places that were open that were like nicer than just, your typical place. So that's how we found this one. They do like small plates and like craft cocktails and things like that. So this drink is called Shakedown, and it's basically a mojito. For an appetizer, we had some fried mozzarella. And then for our meal, we had some rigatoni vodka with shrimp. And I believe we had a dessert. We might have taken it home, like to go. So that might be why I don't have a photo of it. But everything we had was really great. You can see how like dark and like dimly lit it all is. And, having to take photos discreetly where you're not drawing attention to yourself. They're not the best photos, but you kind of get the idea. Next up is Father's Office. So they have a location in Santa Monica and in Culver City. The Culver City location is really cool because it's in this area called the Helms Design District, where they have this like neon sign, and it's like this like converted factory kind of thing. And it was just really interesting. So for appetizers, we had the chorizo fritters, which were really good. This is their burger, the office burger. Like, it is one of my favorites. So caramelized onion, bacon, Gruyere cheese. They have this Maytag blue cheese. I wanted to look up what that is, but as I'm reading this now, I forgot to do that. And then some arugula. It's a good little handheld burger. And then we got a basket of fries as a side, and they come with like a garlic parsley aioli. I did notice this was very popular with like the young 20-somethings, kind of businessy types. So that was kind of interesting. We had some, and I wouldn't say quite rowdy, but they definitely drew attention to themselves. And there was a lot of those kinds of groups there, like going out for like happy hour after work type of things, or like they're all interns going out. It was that kind of vibe that I felt like was there, at least when we went. I don't know if that's typical or not. Next up is VIP's Cafe. This is, I think it's technically in Tarzana, but it's really kind of like right there in Encino, Tarzana area on Ventura Boulevard. The claim to fame here is John Wooden, who's like a famous basketball coach. I think he's got some kind of inspirational quote or something like that. He had a favorite booth here, and you can still dine in there. There's a little plaque there. It's a classic like 50s diner style, but it actually is like not even as old as I am. It didn't even open until 1998, but it is, you know, classic diner style, which is really great. It's very popular for breakfast. There's usually a bit of a wait, but it moves quickly. Omelets, hash browns, sausage, biscuits. I think we've gotten pancakes before. We've gone like 3 or 4 times. It's a nice little spot. Casa Vega. So we actually went here only because I'd heard of it before, but the time that we ended up actually being able to go, it was when my sister was in town for the Eras tour, and all the restaurants were doing like special menus for it, and this is what they had. I couldn't tell you what the drinks even were, but obviously, you know, blue and cotton candy and pink and very, very lover era looking drinks. And we did have some food too, but I couldn't find, it was more just like some appetizer type of things. But my sister and I had been to Universal for the day, and we kind of finished everything up by the time it was like dinner time. So we went over here. This is in the Sherman Oaks area, also on Ventura Boulevard. It's been around since the 50s, so it is a very classic and very popular place still. Johnny's. So Johnny's is a classic diner also. It's in Culver City. They're known for their French dip and pastrami. It's also been around since the 50s. We went here one night after doing the Sony studio tour. Around Halloween time, they were doing these like nighttime tours that are just a little bit different than their normal one. It had been on my bucket list for a while, and it being like a quick, convenient, cheaper kind of thing, it was just a really convenient time to go. So we had, this is the pastrami sandwich. This is like a ham and cheese sandwich and then onion rings. I don't know why I didn't get a French dip sandwich. Because, I mean, you can tell, so I got the ham and cheese. It's not like a hot sandwich. I wonder if I was just feeling like not the hot food so much. But I wish I had had a French dip sandwich there, because I'm sure it's really good. The pastrami sandwich was great. Onion rings are great. The ham and cheese sandwich I was surprised by, that it was like as plain as it was, but it still tasted good. So this is a very popular spot to go to. Grand Central Market. This is a food hall in downtown LA. I kind of put a cluster of things that are all at the Grand Central Market all under this one. So we went to this juice place to get like, I'm sure it's like an agua fresca or something. And we just had that to drink while we walked around and decided what we wanted to get. And then we went to this taco place and we got this like insanely stuffed beef burrito with like beans and rice. And this was really good. And then for dessert, we went to the Donut Man, and I think we just took them all home, and that's why I don't have photos of like the actual donuts. But you can see like you can get like a dozen of them, and there's all these different kinds, and everything here is pretty affordable, being like a food hall. So definitely check out even just like the architecture like around the area and things. Like Grand Central Market, it's just a cool place to like walk around and just kind of see what's there and try a few little snacks in different places. Next up is Chin Chin. So when I went, and I had a hard time figuring out what happened here. So when we went, I knew for a fact we were on Sunset Boulevard and that it was in the West Hollywood area. Because when we went, we saw people filming. There was like these 2 girls like on the street, and they kept filming them walking into some kind of store or something. And there was like this crowd and everyone was talking. So I zoomed in and took a picture because I was like, I don't know who these people are. And I posted it on Instagram. And everyone was like, oh, that's so-and-so from Selling Sunset. So I was like, okay, yeah, I don't know what that is or who those people are. So then when I was like writing this up, I was like, I know that's where we were, like it's geotagged. But I looked it up, and that location in particular has closed, but they're also in Brentwood and Studio City. So anyway, these are the chow mein noodles, which are very good. And these are the pot stickers, which are also very good. That is all that we had, because I think we were just kind of like bouncing around to like a few different places around town, trying different things and doing some sightseeing and whatever. So we weren't doing like a full on, you know, stuffing ourselves kind of thing. So this was like just the right amount to kind of be satisfied. So Chin Chin is obviously Asian food. That's the whole menu. Frisco's Car Hop. So this is outside of like the LA area. It's in a town called Whittier, but it's still part of LA County. So I put it in here because it doesn't really fit anywhere else on my website. So Frisco's Car Hop is a classic 50s style diner. So they have this little like pink convertible, and the inside is like a booth that you can like sit and eat in, and like all the decor fits like 50s car hop theme. So they have all like the diner foods, burgers, sandwiches, fries. This is the patty melt, and these are Parmesan zucchini. I believe this is the place that all of their burgers are served on sandwich buns. So they all look like sandwiches, but they're actually burgers. It got very big on, I think, like TikTok and Instagram a while back, just for the aesthetic and experience. And it is a really cool place. So if you are going outside of the LA area a little bit, this one's over in Whittier. Next up is Mixed. So they have a few locations throughout LA. We went to the one that's next to the La Brea Tar Pits because we were visiting the La Brea Tar Pits. It's a really nice lunch spot because it's like light and refreshing, nutritious kind of. We got some kind of agua fresca. I know it had carrot, ginger, and turmeric. I know something else was in there, but I just don't remember what it was. So that was nice after, walking around outside. And then we got the Zesty Bowl, which is this here. It has quinoa, kale, grilled chicken, feta, oranges, avocado, cabbage, pickled red onion, fresh herbs, and a lemon herb vinaigrette. It was a very nice combo, very filling, just a lot stuffed into one dish. So it was a good little lunch while out sightseeing for the day, and super convenient when you're already parked at the La Brea Tar Pits to not have to like go around somewhere else looking for food. There's also a Starbucks next door. So next is Maria's Italian Kitchen. They have a few locations throughout LA. We've only been to the Calabasas location. We went here one time. I had just watched an episode of The Kardashians, and I guess JP had noticed. And next day, or soon after, we were just going up to LA to just do like sightseeing and just try new things. And so he had a surprise. And the surprise was the restaurant that I had just watched them go to on The Kardashians. So this is their chicken fettuccine alfredo and a side salad. Next up is the LA Full House Seafood Restaurant. This is in LA's Chinatown. So we had actually been hosted for a ghost tour throughout Chinatown, and when we went, this was like one of the last things we did before we moved to Ohio, and I was like, I didn't even remember that like LA had a Chinatown. I'm like, I've never been over there ever in the 8 years that I lived there. I just never made my way through there. And it's really cool, by the way. You should definitely check it out, especially at night when it's like lit up and stuff. But we had a little bit of everything. So wonton soup is really great. The juicy pork dumplings, I absolutely love these. Barbecue pork fried rice, we get that like everywhere we go. Like these are kind of like all of our go-tos. And then usually we'll get like chow mein or lo mein noodles or something like that. But I think that we were already satisfied with all of these things. And then when they brought us the fortune cookie, they also brought like all these orange, I believe these are orange wedges, and then some nuts, which was super random, but it was cool. It was very busy. It was like those, I don't know, those like big round tables that you see at like Chinese restaurants a lot, and they had like the cloths on them and stuff, but a lot of families there. It was very busy. Next up is Boo's Philly Cheesesteak. There's a Silver Lake location and a Koreatown location. I've only been to the Koreatown location, and it's on Wilshire Boulevard. They have really cheesy Philly cheesesteaks and like a really soft bun, and they're like just loaded up really well. I couldn't find a picture from when we went, but if you go to their website, on their menu, they have photos on the menu of what each item looks like, and they're just so good and so indulgent. I love them. Next up is the original Tops. So Tops is another old school diner. This one's in Pasadena, and it's from the 50s. Their patty melt is amazing. Like, just look at that. And their pastrami sandwich, also amazing. I don't know why pastrami sandwiches are so popular. Like, every single, like, old diner type of place, there's just so many pastrami sandwich places there. In Ohio and in Florida, there is not. Like, I mean, it could be on menus and I just never noticed, but being in LA and going out to eat with JP, I feel like we have had more than our fair share of pastrami sandwiches and even patty melts too, because my go-to at all these like diner type places is patty melts and the zucchini sticks. I absolutely love. That's one thing California had that I really enjoyed is all the places had like zucchini fries, zucchini sticks, fried zucchini. Those are nowhere to be found in like Ohio and Florida, and they are so good. I don't know why it's not more common. Next up is Nobu Malibu. So this is, you know, another big celebrity hotspot or like where influencers go and things like that. When we went, we were taking my sister. She was visiting for the Eras tour, you know, had never really been to the area. And you can see like the view is really nice. So we decided to treat ourselves one day. This is a melon sake martini. And then this is an old fashioned. The melon sake martini was actually like, it tasted kind of like straight juice to me because I'm not really a martini person. Like I'll take a sip sometimes, but it's not really one that I'd like order for myself. But it was like drinking juice. So that was great. And JP's favorite and go-to drink is an old-fashioned. For our little appetizer, snacky kind of thing, we got edamame. My sister, that is apparently her go-to of any place that has it on a menu. That is what she will just sit and snack on. We got a variety of different sushi rolls so that we could all just kind of sample different things. I don't really do anything that exotic with sushi rolls. My sister doesn't really eat seafood. I don't know why. So like the spicy tuna roll, that was just for JP because I don't do anything spicy. But like the baked crab roll, the California roll, the vegetable roll, those were all fantastic. Also in Malibu, just down the road, is Broad Street Coffee Company. This is a nice coffee shop that has like just interesting things. So this was like a French toast latte, and they have good, it's not big, but they do have like workspace, so you can see that's what brought us there that day. And it's a cool little theme. I feel like definitely fits Malibu for sure. Next is Vicky's Doghouse. This is actually at the USS Iowa battleship. So we were hosted actually, and we got to bring friends with us. They were launching this new thing where it was like an escape room scavenger hunt on the ship. So you have a guide with you just to make sure like nobody injures themselves or gets lost or, you know, does something to sink the ship. But it's like, it was like a couple hours experience, and you go into all these different places on the battleship that no one ever gets to go to. And then they also treated us to lunch afterwards. So they have this place called Vicky's Doghouse. It's a gourmet hot dog kitchen, but it's not just like, they have like the regular Nathan's hot dogs, but you can also get like Italian sausage or Polish sausage as your hot dog. And then they have all these different like loaded toppings that you can do. So this one's like the sauerkraut and mustard. This is like chili cheese and onions. And that looks like it's got like Thousand Island and maybe like avocado or something on it. But those were all so good. And then they also have like onion rings and french fries and stuff. So I recommend that if you go over to the USS Iowa area. Next door to that, we also did this on the same trip, the fish market. It's right out on the water, like a little like fishing wharf kind of area. So it's really good for like sunset time. It was pretty busy when we went. It could have been a weekend, I'm not really sure, but they were doing karaoke, so it was quite busy. It was more kind of like a low-key karaoke though. Like they had a little karaoke box kind of in like the center with all the tables kind of like around, and it would just be different people coming up and singing. It wasn't like a big like karaoke stage that everyone is sitting and watching with like a whole production. It's not really like that. But the portions here are massive. They serve it on like this whole tray of food, and you know, you can choose the different seafoods and sides and whatever that you want. But it's a lot. Next up is Green Acres Market. So this is up in Simi Valley, which is kind of the LA area, but a little bit, it's like up over hill, you know. It's a pretty low-key place. I've only ever gotten, so it's at this market on the outside. They have a little awning and some picnic tables, but I've never actually sat and eaten there. It's usually more so like to go. I love their mac and cheese. And they also have really good burritos. I think this one's a tri-tip burrito with like rice and beans. But they have just like little things like that are just like good, hearty kind of foods. And then the last thing I have is the Alamo. This is in Thousand Oaks. And they're really, really popular for Taco Tuesday. This is one of their margaritas. I think it's a mango margarita, possibly. And then this is a chorizo bean dip. For some reason, I don't have any photos of like actual tacos or burritos that we've gotten before, but but they're popular for that, and they're just like a normal like neighborhood restaurant kind of place. It's not like super fancy, but it's not like a hole in the wall either. Some fun things to do if you're in LA. I have a blog post called Secret Spots in Los Angeles of stuff just kind of all over that like most visitors never get to go to because they're just doing like the highlights or they just don't think to go to. If you haven't been to Universal in a while, they have a lot of new attractions. There's still some new stuff coming, so definitely check that out. If you're visiting in the fall, up in Calabasas, there's an event called Nights of the Jack that's very popular. And then Descanso Gardens also does an event. And then in the winter, the LA Zoo does holiday lights. And it's like a nighttime event, like after the zoo closes. Here's one of the pictures from my Secret Spots in LA post. There's a place called Lake Hollywood Park. And everyone out here is getting pictures with the Hollywood sign in the background. This is actually me standing there. So JP must have taken that picture. But it's a good place to just be able to do a whole like, you know, get all the good Hollywood sign photos that you want at good angles without having to like up over this ridge is kind of like the dirt path where you got to walk from like the Griffith Observatory over there, which is not as fun as just driving right up here and taking photos here at the base. So where to stay in Los Angeles? So we've stayed in a few hotels in the area. My top choices, definitely Waldorf-Astoria. I used to work front desk for Hilton, and one time it was available at the team member rate, and it was like $180 for the night. So I just booked it and went, and it was fantastic. But another stay that we did was the Beverly Wilshire, which is a Four Seasons hotel. That one's obviously in Beverly Hills. It's the one from Pretty Woman with Julia Roberts. We stayed for New Year's one time, and it's just super convenient. It was just for one night, like bucket list kind of thing. And it's just super convenient because it's right there at the base of Rodeo Drive, so you can walk around everywhere, and you got all the shops, all the restaurants just literally right there. It's great for like people watching and and things like that. And just the rooms and like the bathrooms and all the amenities are all just really nice. So if you're able to splurge one time for that, I definitely recommend that. And again, like I mentioned at the beginning, I have posts for these specific neighborhoods in towns throughout LA. So Westwood, which is where UCLA is, Beverly Hills, Hollywood, Fairfax District, which is where the Farmers Market, the Grove, and CBS Television City, and then Glendale and Burbank. So these all have about 5 to 10 recommendations in each. This one was much longer because it was just kind of a catch-all for like LA in general. But here's some more specific places that are also in the area to definitely check out, because it would have been like 100 places if I put them all in this list, and no one wants to read, 100 of these at a time or listen to me talk about 100 of these at a time. I also have this free guide, free things to do in Los Angeles. It'll just ask for your first name and your email, and it'll send it right to your inbox. And that is everything I have for our favorite restaurants in Los Angeles.